Swami Vivekananda. Chapter The Chosen Idol. The next thing to be considered is what we know as Ishta-nishtha. One who aspires to be a bhakta must know that so many options are so many ways. He must know that all the various sects of the various religions are the various manifestations of the glory of the same Lord. They call you by so many names. They divide you as it were by different names. Yet in each one of these is to be found your omnipotence. You reach the worshipper through all of these, neither is there any special time so long as the soul has intense love for you. You are so easy of approach. It is my misfortune that I cannot love you. Not only this, the bhakta must take care not to hate or even to criticize those radiant sons of light who are the founders of various sects. He must not even hear them spoken ill of. Very few indeed are those who are at once the possessors of an extensive sympathy and power of appreciation, as well as an intensity of love. We find as a rule that liberal and sympathetic sects lose the intensity of religious feeling, and in their hands religion is apt to degenerate into a kind of politico-social club life. On the other hand, intensely narrow sectaries, whilst displaying a very commendable love of their own ideals, are seen to have acquired every particle of that love by hating everyone who is not of exactly the same opinions as themselves. Would to God that this world was full of men who are as intense in their love as worldwide in their sympathies, but such are only few and far between. Yet we know that it is practicable to educate large numbers of human beings into the ideal of a wonderful blending of both the width and the intensity of love. And the way to do that is by this path of the Ishtanishtha, or steadfast devotion to the chosen idol. Every sect of every religion presents only one ideal of its own to mankind, but the eternal Vedantic religion opens to mankind an infinite number of doors for ingress into the inner shrine of divinity, and the places before humanity an almost inexhaustible array of ideals, there being each of them a manifestation of the Eternal One. With the kindest solicitude, the Vedanta points out to aspiring men and women the numerous roads hewn out of the solid rock of the realities of human life by the glorious sons or human manifestations of God in the past and in the present, and stands with outstretched arms to welcome all, to welcome even those that are yet to be, to that home of truth and that ocean of bliss wherein the human soul, liberated from the net of Maya, may transport itself with perfect freedom and with eternal joy. Bhakti Yoga, therefore, lays on us the imperative command not to hate or deny any one of the various paths that lead to salvation. Yet the growing plant must be hedged around to protect it until it has grown into a tree. The tender plant of spirituality will die if exposed too early to the action of a constant change of ideas and ideals. Many people, in the name of what may be called religious liberalism, may be seen feeding their idle curiosity with a continuous succession of different ideals. With them, hearing new things grow into a kind of disease, a sort of religious drink mania. They want to hear new things just by way of getting a temporary nervous excitement, and when one such exciting influence has had its effect on them, they are ready for another. Religion is with these people a sort of intellectual opium eating, and there it ends. There is another sort of man, says Bhagavan Ramakrishna, who is like the pearl oyster of the story. The pearl oyster leaves its bed at the bottom of the sea and comes up to the surface to catch the rainwater when the star Swati is in the ascendant. It floats about on the surface of the sea with its shell wide open until it has succeeded in catching a drop of the rainwater, and then it dives deep down to its seabed and there rests until it has succeeded in fashioning a beautiful pearl out of that raindrop. This is indeed the most poetical and forcible way in which the theory of Ishtanishtha has ever been put. This Ekanishtha, or devotion to one idol, is absolutely necessary for the beginner in the practice of religious devotion. He may say with Hanuman in the Ramayana, Though I know that the Lord of Shri, that is Vishnu, and the Lord of Janaki, that is Rama, are both manifestations of the same Supreme Being, yet my all in all is the lotus eyed Rama. Or, as was said by the sage Tulsidas, he must say, take the sweetness of all, sit with all, take the name of all, say yea, yea, but keep your seed firm. Then, if the devotional aspirant is sincere, out of this little seed will come a gigantic tree like the Indian banyan, sending out branch after branch and root after root to all sides till it covers the entire field of religion. Thus will the true devotee realize that he who has his own idol in life is worshipped in all idols by all sects, under all names and through all forms. The method and the means. In regard to the method and the means of Bhakti Yoga, we read in the commentary of Bhagavan Ramanuja on the Vedanta Sutras. The attaining of that comes through discrimination, controlling the passions, practice, sacrificial work, purity, strength, and suppression of excessive joy. Vivek or discrimination is, according to Ramanuja, discriminating among other things the pure food from the impure. According to him, food becomes impure from three causes: by the nature of the food itself, as in the case of garlic, etc., owing to its coming from wicked and accursed person, and from physical impurities such as dirt or hair, etc. The Shrutis say when the food is pure, the sattva element gets purified and the memory becomes unwavering, and Ramanuja quotes this from the Chandyoga Upanishad. The question of food has always been out of the most vital with the bhaktas, apart from the extravagance into which some of the bhakti sects have run. There is a great truth underlying the question of food. We must remember that according to the Shankar philosophy, the sattva, rajas, and tamas, which is in the according to the Shankar philosophy, the sattva, the rajas, and tamas, which is in a state of homogeneous equilibrium from the prakriti, primordial nature, and in the heterogeneous disturbed condition from the universe, are both the substance and the quality of prakriti. As such, they are the materials out of which every human form has been manufactured, and predominance of the sattva material is what is absolutely necessary for spiritual development. The materials which we receive through our food into our body structure go a great way to determine our mental constitution. Therefore, the food we eat has to be particularly taken care of. However, in this matter, as in others, the fanaticism into which the disciples invariably fall is not to be laid at the door of the masters, and this discrimination of food is, after all, of secondary importance. The very same passage quoted above is explained by Shankara in his Bhashya on the Upanishads in a different way by giving an entirely different meaning to the word ahara, translated generally as food. According to him, that which is gathered is ahara. The knowledge of the sensations such as sound, etc., is gathered in for the enjoyment of the enjoyer's self. The purification of the knowledge which gathers in the perception of the senses is the purifying of the food ahara. The word purification of food means the acquiring of the knowledge of sensations untouched by the defects of attachment, aversion, and delusion, such as the meaning. Therefore, such knowledge or ahara being purified, the sattva material of the possessor of it, the internal organ will become purified, and the sattva being purified, an unbroken memory of the infinite one who has been known in his real nature from scriptures will result. These two explanations are apparently conflicting, yet both are true and necessary. The manipulating and controlling of what may be called the finer body with the mind are no doubt higher functions than the controlling of the grosser body of flesh. But the controller of the grosser is absolutely necessary to enable one to arrive at the control of the finer. The beginner therefore must pay particular attention to all such dietetic rules as have come down from the line of his accredited teachers. But the extravagant, meaningless fanaticism which has driven religion entirely to the kitchen, as may be noticed in the case of many of our sects, without any hope of the noble truth of that religion ever coming out to the sunlight of spirituality, is a peculiar sort of pure and simple materialism. It is neither jnana nor bhakti nor karma. It is a special kind of lunacy, and those who pin their souls to it are more likely to go to lunatic asylums than to Brahmaloka. So it stands to reason that discrimination in the choice of food is necessary for the attainment of this higher state of mental composition, which cannot be easily obtained otherwise. Controlling the passions is the next thing to be attended to. To restrain the indriyas, organs, from going towards the objects of the senses, to control them and bring them under the guidance of the will is the very central virtue in religious culture. Then comes the practice of self-restraint and self-denial. All the immense possibilities of divine realization in the soul cannot get actualized without struggle and without such practice on the part of the aspiring devotee. The mind must always think of the Lord. It is very hard at first to compel the mind to think of the Lord always, but with every new effort the power to do so grows stronger in us by practice, O son of Kunti, and by non-attachment is it attained, says Sri Krishna in the Gita. And then as to sacrificial work, it is understood that the 5 great sacrifices have to be performed as usual. Purity is absolute, the basic work, the bedrock upon which the whole bhakti building tests. Cleansing the external body and discriminating the food are both easy. But without internal cleanliness and purity, these external observances are of no value whatsoever. In the list of the qualities conducive to purity as given by Ramanuja, they are enumerated: Satya, truthfulness; Arjava, sincerity; Daya, doing good to others without any gain to oneself; Ahimsa, not injuring others by thought, word or deed; Anavidya, not coveting others' goods, not thinking vain thoughts, and not brooding over injuries received from another. In this is the one idea that deserves special notice is ahimsa, non-injury to others. This duty of non-injury is, so to speak, obligatory on us in relation to all beings, as with some. It does not simply mean the non-injuring of human beings and mercilessness towards the lower animals, nor as with some others does it mean the protecting of cats and dogs and the feeding of ants with sugar, with liberty to injure brother man in every horrible way. It is remarkable that almost every good idea in this world can be carried to a disgusting extreme. A good practice carried to an extreme and worked in accordance with the letter of the law becomes a positive evil. The stinking monks of certain religious sects who do not bathe lest the vermin on their bodies should be killed never think of the discomfort and disease they bring to their fellow human beings. They do not, however, belong to the religion of the Vedas. The test of ahimsa is absence of jealousy. Any man may do a good deed or make a good gift on the spur of the moment or under the pressure of some superstition or priestcraft, but the real lover of mankind is he who is jealous of none. The so-called great men of the world may all be seen to become jealous of each other for a small name, for a little fame, and for a few bits of gold. So long as this jealousy exists in a heart, it is far away from the perfection of ahimsa. The cow does not eat meat, nor does the sheep, as they are great yogis, great non-injurious ahimsikas. Are they great yogis, great non-injurious ahimsikas? Any fool may obtain from eating this or that. Surely that gives him no more distinction than to herbivorous animals. The man who will mercilessly cheat widows and orphans and do the vilest deeds for many is worse than any brute, even if he lives entirely on grass. The man whose heart never cherishes even the thought of injury to anyone, who rejoices at the prosperity of even his greatest enemy, that man is the bhakta, he is the yogi, he is the guru of all, even though he lives every day of his life on the flesh of swine. Therefore, he must always remember that external practices have value only as a help to develop internal purity. It is better to have internal purity alone, when minute attention to external observations is not practicable. But woe unto the man and woe unto the nation that forgets the real internal spiritual essentials of religion and mechanically clutches with it like grass at all external forms and never lets them go. The forms have value only so far as they are expressions of the life within. If they have ceased to express life, crush them out without mercy.